Bold is an attitude of mind, but it's measured by how you behave. And as we're emerging, it seems, from this recession, I think what we're going to see is those organizations that have a clear sense of who they are, a clear sense of their brand, a clear sense of their purpose, thriving and surviving. And this presentation today really is about some of those organizations, some of those brands that we believe, Andy Milligan and I, my co-author, who are brave, who are innovative, and who are doing some things in a different way. A great example of this is Audi. Audi recently declared their first half-year profit for 2009, a mere 823 million euros, in a year when General Motors went bankrupt, and more recently so has Saab. A incredibly successful organization. Their profits have increased, their earnings have increased 700% since 2001. Why? Well, I think one of the reasons for it is that they've got a really clear sense of what this brand is all about. They've got a really good, clear sense of their strategy, and they've stuck to it. In fact, Rupert Stadler, the CEO, when asked about the recession recently, said, well, we discussed it thoroughly. I decided not to participate. And I think that's a real sense of an organization that is bold in its thinking. So it's about those organizations then that are, as I say, are seeking the opportunity, are seeing the opportunity here. And one of the things that Rupert Stadler also said was, having said that we're not going to participate in the recession, we believe that we're going to see a decade of significant change going forward. There's going to be a decade of significant change. In fact, Andy and I believe that it's not just a decade of change. I think we're seeing one of those major shifts in terms of the economy, one of those major shifts in business that only happen about every 100 years or so. If we go back to the 19th century, those organizations that were winners were those that had access to capital and resources. So if you could get the money and you could get access to the resources and you could build new product, then the whole industrial area was about taking that new product to new markets. If we roll forward to the 20th century, it was really all about information. It was about the invention of the telephone, the radio, the TV, films, internet, computers. It was all about information. But the winners were those that had access to content as well as distribution. And if you think about the big film studios, if you think about people like Sony and so on, it was really all about content and distribution. But as we get into this next decade, what we believe is that we're going to see another shift. And perhaps in reaction to the financial crisis, which has been unprecedented, in reaction to what's going on in the world in terms of the environmental crisis, we believe we're going to see a shift in terms of organizations that are winning. And it's those that have access to innovation, that have access to great thinking, that have access to perhaps new technologies and new ways of behaving that enable them to do things just differently. But in a way that isn't just about doing things for different sake, but doing things in a way which is differently and appropriately for the world in which they're existing. And so it really is about making this shift. And so there's one message that I really would like to leave you with today. It's this, that we think that those organizations that will win in the next decade and beyond are those that are bold, that are doing things in some big idea ways, some new ways, that are brave, that have the courage to actually challenge conventional wisdom and conventional thinking in the marketplaces, and innovative in coming up with new business models, new ways of making money even in terms of what's going ahead. So that really takes me to my first story, if you will, the world's favorite airline, Ryanair. Now, why am I saying Ryanair? Well, actually, if you think about bold, brave, and innovative, there is no doubt that Ryanair has been incredibly bold in terms of challenging conventional wisdom in the airline market, being incredibly successful in doing so. Michael O'Leary is certainly brave in some of the things that he says. His proposals to charge passengers for using the lavatory, for example, is a pretty brave thing to do. In terms of being innovative in coming up with new processes and new ways of making money, they've certainly been very successful. And if you look at their profits, well, if you look at their passengers, first of all, over 6 million passengers carried per annum, profits last year of 347 million. And in terms of performance, they claim to lose 0.2 of a bag per 1,000 customers. That's their own statistics. And if we compare them to British Airways, you can see that they are outperforming BA by a considerable margin.